Thank you very much for the organization and invitation to this wonderful CPAC event at a time when the vast majority of foundations and civil organizations are infected with socialism. CPAC is essential for bringing together those of us who defend the seat of freedom. I want to start by congratulating once again the elected President Donald Trump, the elected Vice President Bams, and all their team for the victory in these elections. It is a great joy for me to know that in the United States, common sense and reason prevailed over communist delirium, the woke agenda, and centralized planning. I say it is a joy because as an Argentine, I know firsthand the consequences of the pandemic, of socialism. That is why I often say that I feel like a prophet in a still avoidable dystopia. To put it in context, in Argentina 120 years ago, we were governed by free enterprise capitalism and had the highest per capita GDP in the world. We competed head-to-head with Australia and the United States and were the refuge for hundreds of thousands of immigrants traveling from all over the world in search of better living conditions. It was not in vain that it was common in the past to hear the expression, rich as an Argentine. However, about 100 years ago, Argentina made a turn that marked the beginning of a slippery slope whose outcome is now visible to the whole world. Under the mandate of sentimentality and good intentions, collectivists managed to turn the so-called social justice into an indisputable truth, which claims that where there is a need, a right is born. So, to apply the so-called social justice, they set up an oppressive state that divides citizens into winners and losers. And politics, in turn, became both the referee and a stakeholder in this distribution. This established a kind of caste system like in India, where all ordinary citizens were second-class citizens, and politicians, their friends and their clients, lived like monarchs. I am not a politician, nor do I aspire to be one. Just like President Trump, I had to get into this putrid swamp as an act of self-defense. The people supported me with their vote and continue to do so daily because they finally understood that they do not want to have anything to do with the politics of the caste. To all the peculiarities of Argentina, which for 100 years was the perfect laboratory to experiment with the socialist virus, is currently added a common problem among other Western countries: the cultural hegemony of the left, which poisons the vast majority of institutions and opinion makers. The left, faced with the resentment and frustration generated politically by the overwhelming success of capitalism in Argentina, began to wage a cultural battle to appropriate the common sense of citizens. And today, that virus has spread throughout the West. They managed to corrupt institutions, pervert noble causes, and justify an unlimited state expansion under the false banner of equality, creating a true industry of rights. This cultural model that some call the handsome virus has countless disastrous consequences. In the economic realm, the model effects are the thousands of years of Argentine decline. In the spiritual realm, essential values like merit, ambition, and hope, innovation and optimism have given way to envy, resentment, nihilism, and indolence. However, despite the Spinoza-like structure they have managed to build, leftist ideas are beginning to crack. Because everywhere there is a silent, or rather silenced, majority that has begun to make itself heard. Despite the fact that the enemies of freedom cling to power, making use and abuse of propaganda, distortion, and censorship, on one side, all the traditional political parties begin to pile up, presenting themselves as antagonistic, but deep down, they have always been partners and beneficiaries of the same status quo. Alongside them pile up their clients, the privileged corporations, and all those who in some way live off taxes. On the other side, we have the free citizens who believe in the fundamental rights of the citizen, which are the right to life, liberty, and private property. And all we seek is to be allowed to pursue our own happiness. However, this is not the first time danger has lurked. 500 years before Christ, in the dawn of Western culture, hundreds of Greek cities and states formed a league to confront Persian despotism. As the ancients once did, I believe that those of us who believe in freedom must unite to confront this barbarism and form an alliance of free nations, guardians of the Western legacy, establishing new political ties, but also commercial, cultural, diplomatic, and military ones, where CPAC plays a fundamental role. The United States leading in the north, Argentina in the south, Italy in old Europe, and Israel, the sentinel on the eastern border. Because only with the strength and cooperation of free nations can there be a global hope for peace and prosperity. And because there is no cause more noble than the cause of the West, a historical line of which we are all heirs and which we have the responsibility to restore. In all its glory, it is the cause of the Athenian philosophers who, with Alexander the Great, rode to Egypt and Asia, which the Romans consolidated in the first multi-continental empire that was reborn from the barbarian invasions in the abbeys and Roman courts, which resisted the Arabs and reconquered Spain, which crossed the ocean and colonized America, the same cause that made us citizens and freed us from the yoke of the tyrant, the cause that discovered the scientific method, that industrialized the planet, and that with free enterprise capitalism lifted billions of human beings out of misery. That is the historical line we come to restore. To conclude, I want to tell you that today the world is facing a change of era. I believe that at this point, few deny it. We Argentinians want to soar at the forefront of these winds of change. That is why we advance at the speed we do, even if they call us crazy, because we have the vocation to keep moving forward until we become the freest country in the world, and because we have the human, material, and spiritual conditions to take off as a nation. We are a people with an enviable inventive capacity, capable of overcoming any cataclysm. It is our duty to echo what the times demand and to carry the torch of freedom to redirect the world onto the path of freedom and prosperity. We must take up the baton and revive the Promethean fire that was bequeathed to us so that we can once again be a land of opportunities for all the citizens of the world who are seeking it. We must become a beacon for the world once more. The world has been plunged into deep darkness and cries out to be illuminated. If you don't believe me, I invite you to come and see it firsthand on December 4th at CPAC in Buenos Aires. I have also extended my invitation to the elected president, the elected vice president, to him or more, and to all those who want to come and join us. I want all the leaders of the free world to witness the great feat that the Argentine people are carrying out. It will be an honor for me to have the presence of all of you at the upcoming conference to be held in Buenos Aires. I want to thank everyone. May God bless the Argentines and all the citizens of the world. May the strength of heaven be with us.
¡Y viva la libertad, carajo! Thank you very much. I feel pleased to be here. Thank you.